Imagine your perfect life turned upside down because of one decision. Not a reckless one, not wild or loud. Just a quiet choice made in a moment of exhaustion. The kind no one would notice, but everything after it changes. That's how it started for her. One small shift, and then nothing was the same. This isn't about shame. It's about pressure. It's about someone who held her breath for too long. And what happened the moment she finally exhaled? Esther was quiet, not shy, just careful. She lived gently, spoke softly, and carried a goodness that felt older than her age. At church, she was the good girl, the one who played hymns and kept her skirts long. The whispers of desire, she buried them deep. One evening, she couldn't go to vigil. She was having cramps. She told them about it. She just wanted silence, a moment away from all the noise. She decided to take a walk. She entered into a coffee shop. It was nothing like church. Soft music, laughter, strangers who didn't care who each other was. And in the middle of it, him. He sat in the corner, wearing a leather jacket, a tattoo curling up his neck. No Bible, no choir voice. Just a quiet man who looked like he didn't care who was watching, including her. He looked up from his book, eyes steady. "You don't belong here," he said, not to insult, but to observe. Esther didn't know where the words came from, but they left her mouth anyway. "Neither do you?" He offered the seat across from him. She didn't sit, not right away, but her feet didn't move either. That tension between fleeing and staying was something new, and it felt dangerous. She finally sat down. He poured her a glass of wine. She didn't like the taste of it, too bitter, too strange, but the way he watched her drink it made her feel seen in a way she wasn't ready for. He asked her name. "Esther," she said. He smiled, almost knowingly. "Of course it is," he whispered, and for the first time, she wondered what her name sounded like when spoken by someone who didn't pray over it. They exchanged phone numbers. They spoke on the phone like people that known each other for long. She enjoyed every bit of their conversation. "Wouldn't you like to know where I live?" he asked. Without hesitation, she accepted the invitation. She paid him a visit. He spoke about books, life, and mistakes like he wasn't ashamed of any of them. And then, just lightly, his hand brushed against hers. She froze, but didn't pull away. "Are you afraid of me?" he asked, voice low. Esther looked at him, really looked, and whispered, "No, I'm afraid of myself around you." He didn't answer. He just leaned in more. Their first kiss was slow, like something sacred. Not rushed, not wild, just a quiet undoing. She had imagined kisses before, but not like this. Never like this. He held her like she was a question he wanted to answer. Her dress slipped down, her breath caught, and in that moment, there was no guilt, just the soft, terrifying joy of finally doing it. When it was over, she didn't feel ruined. She felt alive, for the first time in her life. After doing something sinful, her body didn't feel like a sin. It felt like hers. Morning light crept through his blinds. Her dress lay on the floor, crumpled and smelling like his cologne. He slept beside her, peaceful. But Esther was already somewhere else, inside her mind, sifting through what she had just done. She saw her Bible peeking out of her purse, like it had been watching. She stared at it for a moment, then shoved it down deeper, like it had no right to be there. She never felt any of these last night, but now she's feeling the guilt. It followed her out the door. It clung to her like perfume and shame. Sunday came. She didn't show up at church. Then the next Sunday. Then the next. Whispers rose. Her mother begged her to be who she was. Her father preached like fire was eating him from the inside. She changed her hair, cut her skirts, got a nose ring, found a job in a bar with no rules. The good girl didn't disappear all at once. She just kept saying yes to things she used to fear. One night, she came to him angry. "You ruined me," she said. He didn't flinch. "No," he replied. "You ruined yourself the second you said yes." This time, when he kissed her, it wasn't gentle. It was rough, like he was claiming something. She didn't fight it. But afterward, she sat in the dark and wondered why it didn't feel like fun anymore. She started smoking, then pills followed, then things she couldn't name. Her lipstick stayed red, but her eyes lost their light. She wasn't chasing pleasure anymore. She was trying to numb pain. She stopped sleeping with just him. There were others, Parties that blurred into bedrooms, rooms where too many hands touched her, and no one asked her name. She caught her reflection in a cracked mirror, smeared mascara, torn tights, bruises blooming like violets on her thighs. She laughed, then she cried, then she laughed again. She started bleeding. The first time, she thought it was just her cycle. The second time, she collapsed in a bar bathroom, whispering prayers she thought she'd forgotten. At the hospital, they told her she'd been pregnant. But he's gone, the nurse said gently. Esther didn't cry. She just stared at the ceiling and whispered, maybe that's better. 3 months later, she came back to church, hair still black, nose still pierced. But her eyes were hollow, like someone who had died and come back with nothing to say. She didn't speak to her father, didn't explain anything, just walked up during altar call and knelt, not just in repentance, but in surrender. She tried to move on, took a job cleaning motel rooms. No more bars, no more men, just silence, until the fever came, then the weight loss, then the rash. She went for a test. The clinic was quiet, the kind of quiet that felt sterile and scared. Esther sat with her hoodie pulled tight, hands trembling. The nurse had taken her samples. Now she waits. The nurse came back with her result. Just tell me, Esther whispered. The nurse sits gently, then with a low voice filled with pity. You tested positive for HIV. Esther didn't speak, didn't cry, just stared at the wall and said, so this is how the story ends. That night, in her tiny apartment, she lit a candle and spread photos on the floor. Sunday school kids, old dresses, a little girl playing piano. She stared at them like memories from someone else's life. She touched one photo, her younger self, smiling in white. You did everything they told you to, and still lost. She wasn't angry, not anymore, just tired, not of living, but of running from it. She sat on the floor, legs folded beneath her, watching the flame flicker. No makeup, no mask, no man, just Esther and the consequences of her choices, broken, bare, and finally, honest. Some girls are born wild, others are trained to be good, but the world doesn't care what you were, only what it turns you into. And by the time Esther learned that, it was already too late. She wasn't a cautionary tale. She was a girl who believed being good would keep her safe. But life doesn't reward purity, only resilience.
If you loved the story you just watched, please like, share and subscribe for more.